Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for joining the channel once again. It's your boy jonyfraze. Today we are just going to go over basics, and I'm going to show you guys how I clean and just get a Sanwa JLF back up to tip-top shape. Now, if you guys have an old joystick, or maybe have really been playing a lot of games with your stick, sometimes what happens is that the joysticks just get, really clunky and they start to feel really sluggish. And a lot of people don't understand what's going on internally. So there's really a very simple way to get this back up and running, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Alright, so the first thing you're going to need to do is just get access to the joystick itself. Now, some of the newer arcade sticks, like the Mad Catz TE2 or the Razer Panthera, the lids just open up and you have instant access to the JLF itself. Older sticks like this Mad Catz Round 1 TE from the 360 days, you do have to remove some of the bolts. But essentially, you just need to get to the bottom portion of the stick. The next thing you're going to need to do is also remove the ball top. So the best way to do that is just to take a flat screwdriver and basically just grip the bottom pin right there and then just remove and twist the ball top off. Now, not really necessary, but if you have a nice ball top and you want to protect it from any scratches, that's probably the next thing you want to do. Once you have access to the internals of the JLF, first thing you're going to need to do is obviously unplug the stick. This should be a 5-pin connector here, hooking this up to the PCB of whatever stick you're using it for, and that's just going to separate the connection. Okay, now, a lot of people, you could start a lot of ways, but here's what I recommend doing. The first thing I would recommend doing is removing the gate, right? So the gate actually restricts the movement. If you have a square gate, it's just the 4 corners that you're used to. Most JLFs come stock with a square gate, but what you want to do is just pull on these little black tabs here until it pops out. Just go slow and pop that out, right? And the next thing you're going to see is the Microswitch PCB, right? This guy right here. This just freely moves and comes out, but just take note which direction the pins are going. So for this particular setup, these guys are facing right, so I'm going to remember that. I'm going to take this off. So there's the PCB setup. All right, now basically the only thing that's left is the mechanism for the shaft, right? So here's how I recommend taking this apart. First thing you would want to do is remove the C-clip, okay? C-clip is this metal clip right here. It's shaped like a C, which is why it's called the C-clip. You take a flathead screwdriver, you get right in one of the notches, and you slowly just anchor it and pull it out. Now, this is spring-loaded, so if you're not careful, it will fly across the room. So, fair warning, all right? So here's the C-clip, all right, shaped like a C. I'll put that right over here. This is the actuator that rubs against the microswitches, and that's how you get your motions when you move the stick around. That will come out. Right, and then the next will be the spring, right? You could change these out if you want, a heavier spring or a lighter spring. You can just swap these out, to get your desired tension on the joystick. And then this guy right over here is just a support panel for the spring. It's like the base for the spring, right? And if you flip it over, you'll get the shaft. This guy, obviously, that's the metal shaft, right? Oh, let me get this from not rolling. And then you have this little pivot here, or bushing, whatever you want to call it, this white bushing. Now, this is what really gets gunked up, with a lot of debris. This particular JLF I already cleaned, but I'll show you guys what I would do. So this is just going to fall out. All right, and that's it. That's basically the base. Oh, I'm sorry. And there's also this little metal ring here that sometimes stays put, but this can come out as well. So for the sake of the video, let's take that out. All right, so that's all the components of the JLF. All right, and this is just the mounting plate and the main base. All right, so to get everything cleaned up, you're just gonna need a couple of things. First things first, a bottle of rubbing alcohol, or you can also use alcohol wipes. In conjunction with a paper towel or whatever you want to scrub the parts down with. Now, this is very, very important, and I only really recommend using this stuff. Inside this little vial is a dab of Shin Etsu grease. You could buy these dabs from your favorite arcade store, part stores. I'll put the link in the description. Or you could buy a whole vial if you think you're going to be doing this a lot. And it's very useful for a lot of things, not just arcade sticks. But it's called Shin Etsu grease. Again, I'll put a link in the description. But you're going to need a little bit of that. I just recommend, if you're just doing fight stick stuff, I recommend buying these little vials from your favorite arcade stick stores. Alright guys, so here's what I recommend doing. Take your rubbing alcohol, right? You get some of that on this paper towel, alright? And you just want to scrub all your parts down, okay? The shaft, you want to scrub it down around this area over here, just because that's where the grease collects. So get that going, right? The most important things to really scrub down are the pivot, right? This collects all the dirt. Now, very importantly too, you want to also try to get it inside the middle. So, you know, however you want to clean the middle area, now you should just do that. If you have a thin enough piece of paper towel, you can actually just thread it through. But this is probably the most work you're going to put in cleaning this. Just clean this little pivot right over here. The next most important thing is the well where the pivot goes. You want to clean that out. And you already see I'm starting to get some dirt in there. That's probably the dirtiest area of the arcade stick. So you could kind of see that already. It's getting super dirty. Now, I've cleaned this stick before, but I'm already picking up crap that I missed from the last time. But once you get that going, it should be nice and smooth for you to put some more of the grease to get your movements really good on the joystick. All right, so literally every part will get cleaned up, right? So just make sure there's no grease on it. This also collects a lot of grease, right? You'll see on the corners, it just kind of builds up. Every little piece gets treated. When you get to the PCB, all right, the things to look out for in the PCB are little patches of dirt or grease on the actual switch, the red switches. Now, be very careful not to push the dirt inside the microswitch itself. That can actually ruin it and you'll get dropped inputs, just based on my experience. I would just gently clean all the grease off the little ledges on the switches, right? And try not to push it in, because if you do that and push it in, you're going to be in trouble. Okay? Now, if you're cleaning your stick and you think your inputs are not, coming out because they're dirty, and then you put it all back together and find out it's the same exact thing, you can just buy this part. All right? Again, link in description, but you can buy a spare part. Right? This is the PCB assembly just for the microswitch board. All right? So these are like $10 online. So if you need to buy it, and this is a quick fix. I think I made a video in the past that had me just replacing this piece. But again, if your inputs are not working, if left, right, up, down is not working properly or just missing, chances are it's probably a bad switch. You could theoretically take and unsolder each of the switches off and replace just the switch, but you know, if it's really worth the trouble and you're really skilled at soldering, go for it. But if not, just go buy yourself a replacement. All right, and just clean this up. Make sure all the traces are clean in the back, and you should be good. Now, the gate really doesn't need to be cleaned, but go for it anyway. Literally just scrub everything down. Now, you'll see I have two springs over here, right? When you reassemble, you have options to put everything back. You can replace this PCB assembly with some of the optical boards that I've showed you guys in the past. You can get a new gate. For instance, I have a Octagate, which are very popular, that have more grooves than the square gate. You can feel more of the motion, so you actually feel down, you feel the corners. Very popular for characters that have like 360 motions. And you can still lock in if you want to charge for like charge characters. So this is also an option, but remember, once you have everything apart, sky's the limit. You can also replace these actuators with ones that have a little more, maybe a couple millimeters on the overall radius, so that it comes in contact with the microswitches. Actually, it would be around this area, but it will come in contact with the microswitches a little bit sooner, right? So there's a lot of options, guys. Once you have everything apart, that's when you can start really customizing your joystick. Now, let's do a quick reassembly, all right? And this is where we're going to use the Shin Etsu grease. All right. So the first thing you want to grease up is this pivot, right? So just a small little dab on your finger of the grease, and you just want to work it in, right? Work it in and make sure this is nice and lubricated. All right. You'll feel it. It'll just kind of be fully coated in this stuff, and you don't need a lot. That's why, you know, it's okay to just buy this little vial. All right. The next thing you want to do is do the same thing. You could get a little dab on your finger, again, and then just work it into the well here. Boom. Okay. And again, just make sure it's fully coated. Everything is clean. You can also get the underside as well. All right. Now, it kind of just makes sense, but you would just basically assemble it the same way it came together. All right. So you want to put this metal ring in first. Okay. You want to drop in the pivot in there. You want to get your shaft and drop it in there. This is kind of tricky because things will start moving around until you lock it down. But you always want to put the screw side down, right? You see that there? This is the flathead screw side down into the well, right? Now, again, you just do this in reverse. The next thing you would do is take this support for the spring, pop that there. Again, you could swap springs. This is a 2-pound spring. It'll give you more tension. So if you like a little bit of a harder arcade stick, you know, or just more tension, you would swap that out. I just like the stock springs. I'm going to show you a trick too. While I'm here, if your spring is too loose, all you have to do is literally just slightly spread it apart like this, right? Slightly spread it apart and get a little bit more tension before you install it. Right, so that's a little trick. A lot of people are like, oh, my stick got really loose, right? Well, easy fix. All right, so once that's in, then this is the hard part, guys. You want to take the actuator and pin down the spring. Okay, now this is literally the hardest part, is getting the C-clip back on. Here's my tip, right? There's a little notch, by the way. See that there's a little notch right there that allows the clip to rest. So here's my trick. You just slightly push it in until, and then you let the tension kind of hold it there. All right. Be very careful. This can go flying at any moment if you don't do this carefully. But let it rest. Okay. Now you could take a paper towel, or if you have a glove, or if you want, you can use your flathead screwdriver. But I actually just really recommend taking like a paper towel or a glove and literally just use it to push it in, and it goes right on. A lot of people have a lot of trouble with this, and like they curse this damn thing, but that's literally the easiest way. You see how easy that went back on, and it keeps your finger from you know, some pain. All right, do a quick test, right? Make sure it's moving fluid. There's no little kinks in there. This feels really, really good. Okay. Now everything again just assembles backwards. You want to take your PCB assembly. Remember, I had this facing right. I'm going to drop that in. Right, and then again, you put your gate on. You have options of gates nowadays. You can really customize this bad boy, and you clip it on. Boom. All right. Last thing, and I can't really demo this right now because this is not inside an arcade stick, but you want to plug it in and test it, and then you button everything up. All right. So that is a really, really easy and fast way to get your arcade stick back up to tip-top shape. Or if you plan on just taking it apart for some mods like I showed you, it's really simple to do. Make sure you got the little clickies. That's the sound of joy, usually. But this guy feels back to tip-top shape the way they come out of the box. Alright guys, so that has been a quick fight stick fix. How to get your JLF back up to 100%. This is jonyfraze. Thanks for following the channel, guys. I appreciate all the subs to the channel. Also follow me on Twitch, guys. I've been streaming live fight stick mods and stuff on my Twitch channel. That is www.twitch.tv/jonyfraze. Alright guys, till next time, hopefully this helped. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Peace.